Good morning, eights. So I just wanted to record a short video mostly about vocab. If you read this section here in your assignment, you'll see there's some vocab in here we haven't talked about. So they talk about following trend lines either in the positive or negative direction. We follow the gradient or the slope to find that. We've done informal fitted lines, and we've also done formal fitted lines as well using spreadsheets. But down here they start talking about response variable or a predicted variable. Independent variable we have talked about earlier in the year, but it's been a while, so that word I'm going to bring up and explain it again. We can also call an explanatory variable or a predictor variable. One thing I'd say is a lot of this is context. In math, we usually call things independent and dependent. That's the most normal names for those variables. And what we really mean is an x and y variable. But there are other words for these, so I just wanted to show some. X variable, we've said, is an independent variable. Usually we say that in math class because we look at time a lot, and time is independent on everything. Like we just can't affect time, it passes anyway. So it is an independent variable. And then Y is a dependent variable because if we're studying how trees go over time, then as time passes, that tree grows. So the tree's height is dependent on the amount of time it's been growing. But in science, sometimes you look at things differently. So they use different words. The ones I've heard normally are manipulated and responding variable is common in science. And that makes sense because you have some control that you just see what happens normally. And then you have something that you manipulate, some effect, whatever that is. And based on what you manipulate, you see how the other variable responds. So it makes sense. Another thing that comes up sometimes in statistics is we would call this an explanatory variable and a predicted variable. And it's kind of similar to the way you'd see it in science. This variable explains what happens, or it's the one we manipulate. But in statistics, sometimes we can't manipulate it. We just look at it as this is the one that causes the difference. It is explanatory. And then the other one is predicted as a result. So based on what the explanatory variable says, we can predict what the predicted variable is. Something like, well, yeah. That's all I wanted to say about vocab. Best of luck, eights. As you begin this, you'll see you start out just looking at relationships between these. So response variable, think of that as the y variable. Explanatory variable is the x variable. So if the height of someone's son is the variable that is responding, what are things that could cause that? And it just says give two possible independent or explanatory variables that could be. And then down here we switch it and we say okay, if these are the independent or x variables, what are the y variables that could change? So as the age of a student changes, what are some things we might be interested in studying? There are lots of possible options. And then down here, we'll look at a much more specific application of linear ideas. And I just wanted to say, if you can get through this, and really it's the slope questions are the most important, then you are ready for 9th grade. This is the things that you should have seen in 8th grade with regard to linear models. So great, best of luck, eights. Talk to you soon. Bye.